As a ray of white sunlight travels through the atmosphere to an observer, some of the colors are scattered out of the beam by air molecules and airborne particles, changing the final color of the beam the viewer sees. Because the shorter wavelength components, such as blue and green, scatter more strongly, these colors are preferentially removed from the beam. At sunrise and sunset, when the path through the atmosphere is longer, the blue and green components are removed almost completely, leaving the longer wavelength orange and red hues we see at those times. The remaining reddened sunlight can then be scattered by cloud droplets and other relatively large particles to light up the horizon red and orange. The removal of the shorter wavelengths of light is due to Rayleigh scattering by air molecules and particles much smaller than the wavelength of visible light, less than 50 nanometers in diameter. The scattering by cloud droplets and other particles with diameters comparable to or larger than the sunlight's wavelengths, 600 nanometers, is due to Mie scattering and is not strongly wavelength dependent. Mie scattering is responsible for the light scattered by clouds, and also for the daytime halo of white light around the sun, forward scattering of white light. Sunset colors are typically more brilliant than sunrise colors, because the evening air contains more particles than morning air. Sometimes just before sunrise or after sunset a green flash can be seen. Ash from volcanic eruptions, trapped within the troposphere, tends to mute sunset and sunrise colors, while volcanic ejecta that is instead lofted into the stratosphere, as thin clouds of tiny sulfuric acid droplets, can yield beautiful post-sunset colors called afterglows and pre-sunrise glows. Some of the most varied colors at sunset can be found in the opposite or eastern sky after the sun has set during twilight. Depending on weather conditions and the types of clouds present, these colors have a wide spectrum and can produce unusual results. Wikipedia. Sunrise is the moment when the upper rim of the sun appears on the horizon in the morning. Although the sun appears to rise from the horizon, it is actually the Earth's motion that causes the sun to appear. The illusion of a moving sun results from Earth observers being in a rotating reference frame. Twilight, the period in the morning during which the sky is brightening, but the sun is not yet visible. The beginning of morning twilight is called astronomical dawn. The period after the sun rises during which striking colors and atmospheric effects are still seen. At sunrise and sunset, when the path through the atmosphere is longer, the blue and green components are removed almost completely, leaving the longer wavelength orange and red hues seen at those times. The remaining reddened sunlight can then be scattered by cloud droplets and other relatively large particles to light up the horizon red and orange. The removal of the shorter wavelengths of light is due to Rayleigh scattering by air molecules and particles much smaller than the wavelength of visible light. Sunset colors are typically more brilliant than sunrise colors, because the evening air contains more particles than morning air. Atmospheric refraction causes the sun to be seen while it is still below the horizon. Light from the lower edge of the sun's disk is refracted more than light from the upper edge. This reduces the apparent height of the sun when it appears just above the horizon. The width is not affected, so the sun appears wider than it is high. The sun appears larger at sunrise than it does while higher in the sky, in a manner similar to the moon illusion. Sometimes just before sunrise or after sunset a green flash can be seen. This is an optical phenomenon in which a green spot is visible above the sun, usually for no more than a second or two. Wikipedia. I love photographing the sky. One time I even photographed a UFO at 3 a.m. with my backyard Nest camera. I also love to make a waterfall in my hose's water spray when the sun is at the perfect point. I am lucky that I only sleep 4 hours a night, thus when I travel, I can easily photograph both sunrises and sunsets. One time in Atlantic City, after having all my front teeth knocked out by friend while playing squash, I was on the beach at sunrise, when a beautiful young woman also with a camera came next to me and started talking to me. I tried to do my ventriloquist imitation by talking with my mouth closed. She then asked me what was wrong, but she got insulted when I told her